Welcome to the Predator World 10-Ball Championship, proudly presented by CueSports International and hosted here in Las Vegas at the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino. We'd like to thank our other sponsors of the event, Diamond Billiard Products, Kamui, and Omega. We have finished stage one of the event and into stage two, the single elimination portion of our event. It is a race to 10, and this is our first semifinal match. Right now, I'd like to introduce our players for the match. First up, hailing from Chinese Taipei, he is the current reigning World 10-Ball champion. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Ko Pin Yi? And his opponent, hailing from Germany, he is the current #1 ranked player in the world. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Joshua Filler? Your referee for the match is Rick Duranzo. Gentlemen, you may lag for break and have a great match.
It's finals day here in Las Vegas. Welcome to the Rio Hotel for the CSI presented Predator World 10-Ball Championship. Jim White, very happy to be joined by Jeremy Jones. And Jeremy, does it get any better when you've got the reigning World 9-Ball champion and the reigning World 10-Ball champion on center screen?
Yeah, and what I believe is the top #1 and #3 ranked players in the world. That was just a few weeks ago. I know that Ko Ping Yi was ranked #3. I think that's still accurate, and pretty good stuff here to start our semifinals, the final day of the Predator World 10-Ball. Two impressive wins by both these guys in the last round, so expect nothing but some more stellar play.
Yeah, it really was. Both 10-8 victors. Ko over Junling Chang from Chinese Taipei, his countryman, and Josh Filler, a huge win over Niels Fine. The first time Fine tasting defeat here in Las Vegas, and that was unlucky. Cue ball kicked into the side pocket on his break, so first opportunity falls to the reigning World 9-Ball champion.
Yeah, and that was two awful kisses on the cue ball, one hitting it backwards and then one kissing it back forwards right into the side. And right here and now to start the match, nothing sweeter than ball in hand for our #1 player in the world, Josh Filler, and he's got to just get on the 2 just because the 9's there. He's got to get on the 2 pretty decent to get over on the 4 or draw back to a small position in between the 9 and 5, and that's why you see him shaking his head, because this shot immediately can become a little peculiar, a little funny. Like he doesn't have enough angle to move it over, and he's got just a slight angle that's going to let the cue ball, if he brings it backwards, which he's got to really shoot it to a portion of the pocket to get position on the 4. Okay, he went in and followed it, and that's just really having all the tools whenever you need it.
And not being afraid of distance.
Right, because there was hardly any angle, and to go forward, you had to know the cue ball was going to dive really near that same corner you were shooting the 2 in.
I also found it amusing when the players were warming up. Ko Pin Yi practiced about 6 or 7 jump shots and executed every one of them successfully, and Josh Filler was taking notes, and I'm thinking to myself, I bet he won't be pushing into any of those.
Well, these two guys know each other pretty well, and commented on how well Ko Ping Yi, just from what I've seen, there's a lot of them that jump the ball really well, but he's up there, and you think that has a little something to do with, in his last match, he struggled on a few jump shots. Actually, his last 2 matches, he missed a few that you wouldn't think he'd miss. And Ko Ping Yi will pull out. A lot of people, when they're suffered, or like say after the break, when they have to jump the ball, they'll roll out to another jump shot, kind of like offer it back to you. And a lot of times he won't do that. He'll just go ahead and take it on right after the break. And pretty nice clearance so far. Something on the cue ball.
Yeah, or on the 9 ball. He's
There-
asked to have it cleaned.
There was a little fly on the side rail a second ago.
Oh, it's still, that's what it was.
He's on the opposite side rail now. He was actually on the side rail where Josh was shooting the 8, and now he may come across here.
Well, big way to start this semifinal. Winning the first rack against your opponent's break. So a lot of positive thoughts going through Josh Filler's head right now.
Yeah, and I believe he started. I know he had an early loss in this tournament when we were still in the double elimination stages, but I think since the single elimination, he's gotten out to a lead in each of his matches.
Yeah, Jeremy, you lost to Johan Chua in the second round.
These are two of the type of players, or two of that upper echelon in the world that are just looking for any openings to steal some games off of their opponent's break, or just a little chink in the armor is all it takes for them to really capitalize.
It's the first time that Filler has won the opening rack, in fact, in any of his matches here.
Really? Okay, well, I thought he had gotten to a lead. Well, he did get to a lead, but I guess he just didn't win in the opening rack is what it was. But he had a lead pretty decent yesterday, and then made one big mistake, and then a couple games were let go, and consequently played a little tighter match. And he's right at the edge of being able to cut this in to the right. I mean, it's right, very, very extreme, but he's not even going to question that. All right, he's put him underneath the 6, and I love this shot. Watch, let the 1 go, follow through. Don't baby it. Go ahead and let it go. Yeah, I like that a lot. A really nice choice, and sees all the shots at a young age, Jim.
21 years of age is Josh Filler, world #1, world 9-ball champion, U.S. Open champion. I'll tell you what, he's establishing himself. He's had as good a run in the last, well, say 24 months, probably as anybody's ever had in the world of pool.
Yeah, on the world stage also, that's, Shane Van Boney had one heck of a run for what seems like 10 years, and it's probably fairly accurate. But yeah, Josh Filler on the world stage really doing something special. And a very nice effort on the kick, and you could see what he was trying to do, just trying to get himself to another shot. But I think he can easily cut this in. I thought he could go by the 3 doing it too with a little spin. I didn't think he had to contact the 3. He looks like he's going to play into the 3, and then, nice shot. Very intentional holding on this side of the 2 ball. He's thinking about the 5 now, and I don't think he has to try and bump it. Just lay the 2 up. He can get short position on the 5 easily. Okay, he's trying to bump it. Sometimes you'll bump it a little more funny, Jim. And that was very close to the case there. If that had gone another inch, this 5 ball becomes almost not playable except for some type of bank shot.
Yeah, and the speed that he played that 2-3, I think he half intended that 2 to follow the 3 in. He would have had to bank the 5. But never easy to play position when a ball is that deep in the throat of a pocket, but this looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's going to have to float this 5 in, and most things aren't too much of an issue, but just occasionally you see a little mistake by Josh. Something about them lefties, huh, Jim? Seems like every sport.
Yeah, it was It was fun watching Filler and Jason Shaw, the first match of the knockout stages.
Yeah, talk about firepower.
No kidding.
Okay, that's pretty perfect there to come across the 10. Now just on this shot, you want to try and make sure you get a 4 to 5 inch bounce or so off that second rail just in case you fall straight in on the 8. Still shouldn't be a problem. You could play the 10 in the side thereafter, but
This is a strong start for the German. He's looking to have the Filler Slam on the 3 biggest titles in 1 year.
it'd be pretty amazing, really.
And 2-0, the advantage he enjoys right now. It'll be Coe to break in rack number 3. But a great start. And he's so positive. He plays the game so quickly. He's instinctive.
Yeah, and he was out practicing. He was in, seemed like a really good mood, just doing his thing. And then once that bell rings, he kind of goes into that mode, a little bit of a machine mode, you might say.
He's got a cockiness about him too, but you know something, I don't think it's a misplaced cockiness. I don't really know Josh all that well, but he's not the sort of player that would disrespect his opponents. But he's just got a lot of enthusiasm. He's young, he's exuberant, and I think a player almost needs that bit of cockiness, that swagger. You know, it's all part of the makeup to be successful.
Yeah, and it's who he is. And some comments yesterday after, he gave out a yell a little bit and a fist pump, and I commented to a few people that, hey, that's just Josh Filler, and I wouldn't say that there's anything wrong with it, and I wouldn't say that our game doesn't need more of that at times. Nothing wrong with some celebration. I know it wasn't the finals, and I know it wasn't the trophy being held, but hey, if you're emotional and you're putting everything into it, why not?
And you know something, Jeremy, at the end of the day, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, and he does.
Right. And now a lot of pressure on Coe immediately. He's got to roll out just to get to the bottom of the one, maybe on the right side rail near the 6, I think, and just apply pressure on a real thin hit to where the cue ball's got to get run, and just use the 3 as a snooker. You got to roll out real tough in these situations and just plan on executing or making Josh edge over in here. That's what I like. Rolling out in that area right there just for a real thin rub on the 1. It's not the most fantastic shot, and a good chance you'll get it back because there's just not a lot of room for cover. But what else are you going to do against somebody that's going to execute everything else at a high percentage? And the thing is, when you're facing the top players, the guys that are, like I said, that upper echelon of the pros, good chance Josh won't pass this back. He'll feel like that he can execute well enough to get you snookered by the 3. Because with open tables, you know your opponent's in the chair, but push out situations and some other, kicking at the ball and playing safe. These guys here are just trying to bet on who can execute better. I think this is the correct rollout. One good thing about Coe Ping-Yi is he usually plays these shots to where he's going to definitely get the cue ball nestled on this right side rail near where he's at now, most likely. Meaning even if he doesn't get the snooker, he's going to try and make things tough on Filler. Okay, and he still may have given up a shot.
It's close.
Right. But that's just what he's got to do. I mean, he's just got to bet that he's going to execute a tough shot from a push-out situation.
Yeah, thin cut on the one, but it looks like it's available. And he's called that corner.
I wouldn't want to bet against him. Now the cue ball is going to be going back and forth, and it's a thin hit. So he's got to go on that little path between the side pockets and the 3, and may go back and forth and catch a piece of the 3. We'll see. Wow, just hit it perfect. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning, that just that little opening, it doesn't take much. And that's what all 4 of these semifinalists, but especially Filler and Ko Ping Yi. Okay, but he's going to come back for the side. He's got to have a nice touch and a nice speed with it. I would probably just go back and forth. And yeah. Oh, he did come back for the side. You saw that 3 ball, but that 1 ball also, both of them hardly touched a rail, Jim.
He looks like he's in dead stroke right now. Ominous signs for Ko Ping Yi and everyone watching that may be cheering for him. There's 3 Asians that make up the last 4 left in the Predator World 10 Ball Championship. 2 from Chinese Taipei and 2 brothers. A lot of people thought it might be an all-co final here in Las Vegas. And Masato Yoshioka from Japan. And then the lone European. But what a representative he is.
Yeah. Masato later on is gonna feel like the old man out of these 4. And if you think about pool and just what we have here in our semifinals and the future of 9-ball and rotation pool, 10-ball, pretty sweet with Filler and the Ko brothers making up about as old as I am collectively.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a lot of top pool from those 3, and also Masato, of course, this is going to motivate him, I'm sure, to try and get out and play more events. And what is he, about 35, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to feel like the elder statesman out there.
And he should.
3-0 here. And Filler has secured 2 of those 3 racks against Ko Ping Yi's break. So Filler will break in rack number 4. But we've seen 4-0 leads dissipate, most notably last night. And we were talking about Tyler Steyer. He went 4-0 ahead of Yoshioka last night, and he couldn't hold on to that lead.
Yeah, I talked to Tyler for just a moment, and he said he just kind of lost focus on one game and kind of turned around on him there. But you got to give your hats off to the qualifier from Japan. He hung tough, 4-0. He really didn't do a ton wrong to get down 4-0. Got kissed on the break. Got snookered off the break in a bad situation. And, oh, boy, watch out. Speaking of 4-0, Jim.
Yeah, this is sitting there. And the way that Filler has started this match out, there's no reason to think he's not going to be able to get here, too. But he's a little short of what he was intending there.
Yeah, that's definitely got to go. And he may be able to flick this in the side, and running the cue ball doesn't hurt him. But he'll definitely go offensive, whether it's a thin backwards cut on the 2 or a cross side bank. Now, the thing is, does he want to try and hold it and float the bank? Probably not. He'll probably run the cue ball for the 3 in the side.
40-second shot clock being used here in the CSI arena, and he's just called for an extension. Each player allowed 1 extension per rack.
Looks like he's drawing around, and he ended up just a little short on the bank.
Well, confirmed that he's human.
Yeah, and one thing that I was pretty impressed is, of course, the American players, but generally 9-ball players, great 9-ball rotation players, bank the ball real well. But really impressed with some of the bank shots that Ko Ping Yi played the last few days, and some critical situations, and I'm wondering if he'll do the same here on a cross corner on the 2. Yeah, he's calling it. This is a 9-ball player's bank, you might call it, just that cross corner bank, and he'll pull the cue ball back underneath the 3 for position, most likely on the 3 in the upper left. And the thing is, the ball's froze, so coming across it and trying to play safe behind the 6 is a little touchy. But he could do that, especially with the 4 being there, meaning it's very hard to give up a shot. Oh, well, if there's any question at getting at this ball now, that's a different story as far as playing the bank. Now he's used his extension in pretty much the entire amount of it here. Pretty shot here when it goes. Hit it perfect.
Well, he had to wrest the initiative away from Josh Filler in a shot like that. In his mind, was the risk was worth taking.
Yeah, and just again, just takes a sliver of an opening for these guys, and it's weird, that sliver of an opening kind of motivates him, kind of gets him up for the shot no matter what it is. Okay, it looks like he may have to draw out of here. Could follow, but going around the 7-10 is a little odd, a little funny. So I think you'll see him screw the cue ball back.
Nice angle here to just float the cue ball off the 2 cushions for the 7 next. Well, so important to secure this rack, and equally significant that it was Josh Filler's break.
Yeah, and don't back off this one. Go ahead and shoot that one a little bit so you get a little closer to the 7. Because the angle told you that you weren't exactly 100% sure what you'll fall on. Might be a little one way or another on the angle on the 7, so as long as you get closer to it on that one, and you had a nice angle to do so, it'll be easy to manage. Okay, I think he's all right as far as is he drawing back towards the side pocket at all?
An important rack. Copigny. And against Filler's break as well. So it really only puts him down 1 service break now. He's 3-1, he trails. But he'll break in the next. It's one thing that I note about a lot of these top Asian players, Filipinos, and they really never carry any baggage around. You know, a missed shot here, a missed shot there. They come to the table and they have that ability to focus on the present.
Yeah, and I think probably their upbringing, not just around pool, but just, you know, as a whole, probably really helps that. Makes it easy to not show that frustration, to not carry it around, like you said. Like in America, we're a little more vocal. You might wear our emotions on our sleeve a little bit more, and even I think that's pretty worldwide, actually. But yeah, pretty impressive. And that's what you got to have. You don't get a lot of time to shake things off in pool.
When you see Copigny down the queue like that, and his younger brother is going to be playing our second semifinal, they look identical.
Yeah, you can really see how they favor when they're down on the ball. Seems like, anyways. Does this 5 pass the 6 in the side? If it does, this wrecks. Not routine isn't the correct word, but it should get out at a high percentage, though. And it also goes to where we play a lot of matches, even at a young age. These guys play a ton of tournament pool. You're not going to have, even at the alternate break, you're going to have many matches that start out 3-0, and then you're trailing. So you just kind of go to the memory bank and say, "Hey, I've done this before. I've been in this situation," and you just got to wait for your opportunities. Okay, so this tells me the 5 goes in the side. And if he was going to overhit it, or if he was going to have a little too much angle on the 5, like you might say, that's the correct side to have it. The cue ball's nice and open. He can manipulate it either going up to the rail or drawn. If he ended up short the other way, you can see he's going into the 7 with the cue ball, and then much more difficult to determine what's going to happen.
Well, he's got a little bit more hair than his brother, and he comes into matches. He looks like he's just been in a wind tunnel, but
And
I think if nothing else, that gives you an idea of the type of flair this young man has.
yeah, both him and his brother, both pretty exclusive to pool, meaning talk about different things that they like to do, and that's very pool related. He's got a few pounds on his brother as well. Little Co, a bit of like a jockey size young man.
Yeah, I was commenting when he played Alex Pagulayan in the quarterfinals last night, and there aren't many players that Alex is going to outweigh. He played one last night.
Yeah, Alex wouldn't make the weigh-in. When it comes to those two, he'd be over for sure. Pretty clean run out here, and it was a nice one to get started, meaning there was a very doable rack, but still the repetition and being here in the semifinal kinds of shows you that these two don't make many simple mistakes.
Yeah, and this is a title that Copigny is making a pretty good defense of.
Yeah, these guys can do it all, but two of the top at what I believe the game has come to a little bit more these days is breaking the balls very well and being very efficient with open tables. Which these two in that upper tier of players know the game real well, but it's not so much always knowing all the shots. It's all about, you know, execution and, again, doing a few things really well.
Well, Filler won the first 3 racks to kick things off in the semifinal. Copigny has won the last 2. The failed attempt at the bank was the only mistake from Josh Filler, and it's cost him 2 racks.
Yeah, he was weird on the one. I knew he didn't have much angle at all, but he kind of punched it with heavy spin and really thinking the spin would really grab off the rails and carry him down for position. Probably like to have that one back along with that bank, but banks are missable. That's just how that is. But what a bank that Copigny made to get that run started and get on the board, and then followed it up with a break and run.
Rack number 6, a left-handed world 9-ball champion. He's not the only notable left-hander from Germany. You remember Thomas Engert?
Oh, very, very well.
Yeah, another player that
Really
competitive.
yeah,
Wow.
really solid. Great 8-ball player, great 9-ball player, exceptional straight pool player. Can do it all. Good guy too. I always liked Thomas a lot. Now this is where do you roll out You can't roll out to an easy jump. That's for sure. He'd like to get something covered up here. Not sure what it is. And he's going to leave the 1 wide open, and just so he could cover the 2. The 2 got open, so he's definitely never getting this one back. I'm not sure if it's fully open, but there is a spot that he could get shape on, I believe. Maybe a bank even.
There's a look at it. Doesn't look like it's available to this corner.
No.
Coe's looking at the bank.
You're still not probably going to pass this, though, right? Even if you have to just come 1 rail and creep at the 2 and the 8. I know there's some traffic. Okay, you may get a snooker here with the 6. And he did. Calling the 5, so he'll hit down on this ball with a little draw and a little bit of right English, most likely. Oh wow, he held it up a lot. That was the one thing he didn't want to do. This may be a trying 3 foul situation. This may be play the 1 down and kill the cue ball behind the 5. This is where you bank the 1 rail towards the 2 and 8 and kill the cue ball up behind the 5. Now this is unless the bank goes on the 2. You might play position on the bank, but I would consider this. I would consider knocking the 1 down. Yeah. All right. So he's going to fall down for the bank. And that's how aggressive these guys are, because it'd be one thing if the 1's right there next to the 2 to follow down to get on the bank shot, but now he's got to go 9 feet. And if he gets a little bit off with it, like say he gets a little thin from here or something like this, now the bank becomes a little funny. And it's not easy to play safe either. So kind of put himself in a situation where I think he's got to go for it. Now watch, he's going to slow. I think he's going to make this 2 slowly back underneath him and try and draw up above the 4. Or does he go into the 4 here, Jim?
Yeah, you know what? If he played topspin here, he's going to flick the 8 as well.
Yeah.
So that cue ball is going to be tracking towards the 4, and that's what he's looking at right now, Jeremy. He's got to be a little cognizant of where that cue ball is going to go, depending on how he plays this bank on the 2.
Well, we'll know by whether it's high ball. Okay, if it's high ball, he's definitely going off the 8 into the 4, or he may even get by the 4, possibly. And that's what it looks like. It's not. Doesn't appear to be draw English. Okay, so that's two banks missed short. Both times the 2 ball, once by Filler and once by Ko Ping Yi.
And that cue ball just crept past the 6 to leave an opportunity here for Josh Filler.
I think he can. Oh, he's going to cut this? Why wouldn't he kill the cue ball behind the 8 and bank the 2 up? The reason why I say that, he's got a little bit of a 2-way is what he's thinking. But again, it doesn't take much. Like I don't think Ko Ping Yi's a real underdog to kick this in myself. You'd like to bet on him before you bet against him here, wouldn't you?
I know one thing. If he would have opted for the safety option there and tried to take that cue ball behind the 8, he'd have buried him behind the 8.
Yeah, he would have gotten the 2 all the way down table as well. And that's what I mean about just a little bit of an opening. The people don't think this looks like a little bit of an opening, but it is with these guys. I don't even think he has it cued downward on it. I think he can hit it with a high ball, so he should be very accurate. Like I said, I think he should make it. He went long. Okay, Filler, depends on how he feels about this. He'll either, yeah, that's what I was going to say. If the 9 wasn't there, you'd just creep it out 1 rail and have that nice angle on the 4 to get over. But now you gotta come 1 row in between, I think, with the 9 being there. Can't take any chances of getting elevated on the 9 or somehow behind the 9.
Big window to drop onto the 4. He's looking at it now. So, or to drop onto the 5, sorry. Draw back behind the 7 and the 9.
And not a whole lot can go wrong here. And if he got dead straight on the 6 for the side, he could still cheat it. So any angle will really be okay because he can move the cue ball as long as it's not too extreme where it becomes maybe missable shot. So just kind of what he wants to do. He can play short side on the 8 if need be. That's what the 7 tells you he might do. Because the 9's so handy, just a little chip shot on the other side pocket. And it looks like he's going to come downward. I would draw just in between the 9-10 with the ball so easy. Yeah, I like that. Some players would have tried to get to this bottom rail and back up, but again, you got to evaluate, are the balls laying tough or not? It's one thing if the 9's over on the side rail and you need to gain an angle on the 8, but you don't need an angle on the 8. You just need to get to where you don't put it in a missable position.
He was playing another shot in practice. He was putting the cue ball on the bottom cushion, the ball over the top corner, and while Coe was watching, he was drawing it all the way back just to show Coe the type of cue power that he had. Coe never looked too impressed, but I sure was watching it. 4-2, Josh Filler in front. Player that I mean, probably had as much cue power as any player I've ever seen. Larry Neville. You've seen some of the things he's done.
Oh yeah, unbelievable talent. I could play too when Larry got comfortable and he was confident. Man, he could play. Really had high gear, you might say.
He did things that you just have to see to believe. And then when you see it, you tell other people that and they don't believe you.
Right. Picked up a few dollars in the side room, I'm sure, with that draw stroke he's got.
Got a little at the trade show for me.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Yeah. He says, well, I'm going to do this. And you say, wait, well, you're going to do what?
That's pretty much how it went down.
Okay, so Coe broke the balls a little bit off from the right side in the previous match. You can see he's not way off center, so it's not drastic either way.
Yeah, 7 breaks in the books. We haven't had a dry one yet. But both players have had their share of rack losses when they broke.
Okay, he's gonna end up not moving the cue ball too far because he wants to just get position as quick as possible, but that just still has that angle to move the cue ball behind the 8-10 and back up for the 3. I think he's gotten perfect. As far as with the 9 being there, this is about as perfect as you could ask for. So you can see maybe still trying to settle the nerves a little bit, right, Coe? Like his He always does that where he kind of runs the cue through his hands before he gets down on the shot. It just seems like a few extra compared to the rest of his matches this past week. Like many of the Chinese Taipei players, plays with the Southwest Cue and been doing it for a long time. Southwest from right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, that's been like that for decades as far as the Taipei players.
Yeah, I just like the way they go about their business. They're all very workmanlike. They all have very compact, tidy games. You know, they see the table, very good tactically.
Yeah, they build with the entire every part of the game you really should be trying to achieve, meaning shooting the balls in, of course, fundamental stroke that handles pressure, really use their brain in the game as far as the position play and patterns and tactical situations, and then on top of that, they don't really dog it either. So
Yeah, the
tough
one
combination.
for me, Jeremy, the one noticeable absentee is Wu Cha-Ching. I would have expected to see him here contesting the Predator World 10-ball title.
Yeah, I brought it up yesterday. I don't know if that was me and you that talked about it. It may have been me and George in the last match. George and I in the last match. I was a little shocked not to see Wu here. Seemed like the type of tournament he'd love to be in.
Yeah, no kidding. And you want to see shot making, he doesn't really bow to too many players in that category. When he won the world title, he was very pudgy and a little overweight, 16 years of age, and he's slimmed down a bit now. He's got a powerful stroke.
Oh, yeah.
Another left-hander.
Oh, yeah. I was there when he won that World 9-Ball Championships. And I guess that was in Taipei as well. It was unbelievable, really. Brought the house down, as you say.
Broke into tears with his grandmother front and center. Yeah, it was a special moment.
It was a packed house, though. Remember the semifinals and finals.
Well, 4-3 and Filler with the break.
Okay, dressing the one up in a perfect spot. What's the 7 going to do, Jim? Oh, and I think it just barely got him. And really, look at the layout. I think this is not playable. If it's not, he's got a touchy shot here. Maybe try and lay him up behind the 9. Something like that, and chip the 1 back up, trying to use the 7. And, just chip the 1 up, 1 rail. I'm not sure what he's going to do. He could go 2 rails trying to get behind the 9, back and forth. Let the 1 come 1 rail up, like towards the 4. I think that's the shot I like, actually. It looks like it feels real nice to me.
Yeah, it looks like the 9's bigger playing it that way, too.
Yeah, 2 rails, yeah. And you get the 1 a little further down table to where if you do give him a look, he's got to probably come with a real long shot. It's not a shot you play very often, but most of the players, when they do shoot this type of shot, they just get a real good feel for it.
Yeah, in a worst-case scenario, Jeremy, if he does miss it, he's really only leaving the bank shot on. But we'll see.
He could edge it and run the cue ball 3 rails, like cut it backwards with a lot of inside English and run the cue ball towards the 4 and just cut the 1 to the back rail and using the 7 maybe. Okay, he was very worried about the situation, so he wanted to make sure he put the 1 in a non-offensive area for Ko Ping-yi because he wasn't so sure about the snooker. So he's really concentrating on getting the 1 in a safe place. And you don't blame him. I understand that mentality for sure. Now, can Koping-Yi get to the right side of this one? Our right, if you're looking at the screen, it would be his left. He'd like to spin over and use the 310. Put the one above the 2 a little bit, and just the 310's a decent size little combination of balls to try and get the snooker.
Yeah, just called for the extension, so he might as well have another look. He's bought the extra time.
And I think that the 3's a little tighter to get to the little tighter and a little more in his way as far as trying to get to the left side, his left side of the 1. Oh, that's really nice, man. That's really, really a good effort there. When you don't even leave him the masse to try and get at the 1 and nip it. So I believe Josh is going to have to come all out, go all out to the bottom rail here. Could go across the table, but the 4's in the way. Well, he's going for the jump cue. He may call the cross side bank, but I think more than anything he's trying to knock the 1 away and bring the cue ball back to the bottom cushion. Oh, wow, what a shot. Never mind.
Yeah, Ko nods his head in approval. That was a heck of a shot. Now, when you were learning to play the game, were jump cues around?
When I first started, I didn't see one for a couple years. But I did, I mean, it had to be by 1990 I saw one. Rick Howard was a big popular jump cue and break cue at the time. Wow, he called that 5 ball too, ladies and gentlemen. Wouldn't have hit that any better if the 8 wasn't there to hamper the shot. If he was just shooting straight on. Another little tester.
Yeah, mistakes have been at a premium in this match. And the 1 does go past the 4, bottom right.
And he'll commit to this one. Jim, this will show you a lot more, a bit more of how comfortable he is going this round back over between the 3-8. Okay, and just a little quick with the stroke is all, not much. Now, do you go at this to try and get shape, or do you just kick it in and take the bank? Because he can soft kick this in and for sure hold for the bank. If he goes at it, I don't figure him to miss the 1, but he could come up, hit the 4, go up, and snooker himself. That'd be a little hard luck, but looks like he's going to hit it with speed. Okay, and now he got nothing. He can't really, I don't know if he can bank it or cut it. But if he hits it soft and stays underneath it, the bank's very playable, but you got to go ahead and hit that with speed and try and get the cue ball out for shape. All right, he's coming behind the 4 with the cue ball, it looks like. Good enough.
Well, he really wants to punish Ko for that missed 1. That's been the first real miss by either player.
Okay, so this would be 2 rails to the bottom of the 2, kind of trying to send the 2 past the 3. If it hits the 3, that's okay, but the main thing is he wants the 2 to cue ball to spin off the 2 to the rail where he's at now and then back to the bottom. Okay, he's not going to be happy with that. Just a little light on the speed, believe it or not. He needed a little more. Even if he had hit the 2 correctly where he wanted, still need a little bit more speed.
Well, looks like Filler going to survive this rack.
He's bringing it back with a little of that power we were talking about. Ooh, what's this line look like with the 9-ball being there? Okay, got up close enough. I think he can draw this now. And just draw it to the rail and back out for an angle. Go ahead and get you an angle because you need one anyways. Josh started out with a 3-game lead, and now trying to extend back to 2. If the side pocket here is a worry, just come one rail down. Don't flirt with that second rail. Oh, you don't see that one very often.
Yeah, and he's staring at something over there.
And just tried to jam it into the pocket and get it. He was really putting some emphasis trying to get that cue ball, that second rail. You can tell he didn't want to end up there on the 10. Not saying it was bad, but it was just a bit of a miss hit. Cue ball definitely a foot and a half away from the ideal position he was looking for. That's got to go. A lucky little flick, possibly, yeah. That could have really been disastrous if he just thins that a little bit more. This ball could have got really funny. And now he's got to turn the cue ball loose a little bit.
Well, Filler with a 3-0 lead to start this match. Looked like he was going to steamroll Coe. It's a tricky 10, though. With 4-4 now confirmed here at the CSI Arena. And all of a sudden, the race has been reduced. It's a race to 6 for a place in the final. Looking around, Jeremy, there's still a lot of players here. This is finals day of the Predator World 10-ball Championship, but it's obviously not finals day yet, I don't think, for a lot of these pool players that have made their way to the Rio, contesting the singles and league championships, team championships.
Yeah, Scotch doubles. We've got the juniors right down the street. Got a lot going on here in Las Vegas this 2 weeks. I don't know anything more important than this Predator World 10-ball Championship.
I think this is definitely the focus of all these top players' attention. And it's got the imagination of a lot of the players here that have come for the league play too. You can see a full house. Not many empty seats.
Yeah, well, the league play and the amateur play concludes tomorrow. Uh-oh, that was a little bit off. It's not going to hurt him as far as the cue ball, and he's going to end up with a nice starter on the 1 and nice and straight. And good thing the 2's just right there because you can't do a whole lot with the cue ball. It just happens to be ideal for position on the 2. So he'll shoot this 1 and just go forward for the 2 in the upper right.
Yeah, big chance for Copigny now. He's never been ahead in this match. And he's got a pretty good opportunity right now to keep Filler in his chair for the duration of this rack.
And there's been 2 big mistakes by Filler in the last few games. A cross side bank miss on the 2, which really kind of the real mistake there was maybe missing position on a regular 2-ball shot. Okay, where he didn't have to bank the 2, and then we saw the missed 9 in the last game. Can he go forward? I think he can. I think he can come out 2 rails with a little top left side spin. The good thing is he would love to get nice and full on this 3 because he can shoot the 5 pretty much from there, or the 3 lays. Okay, he's got to put a little bit on this, but just to get it going, that should kind of float into position. That's perfect, ain't it? Yeah, nice shot.
Some of our other sponsors helping to make this event as successful as it's been. Diamond Billiard Products. They're front and center in all major events. Kamui as well. And I'd like to thank Omega Billiards. They got quite a presentation here. And the trade show component here at the Rio. A lot of vendors, and yeah, if you're ever in need of a cue, case, chalk, anything, got it all here. Accessories. They've even got eye cream, I've seen. You know, cover up those wrinkles. You got to look good while you're out there.
Yeah, it's a big, important part of what I'm thinking when I'm down on the ball. Are my wrinkles. Okay, definitely wanted more there, wanted more angle. Not saying it's going to be a big deal, but you can see if you could take that 9 away, everything's pretty easy, but got to keep some concern on the 7 just to get around on the 8. Okay, so this is a funny shot here, Jim. He's got to most likely come 2 rails all the way around, probably some 7 or 8 feet off the 2 rails before he has any position on the 8. And if he happens to overhit it a bit and get up on that rail, which is the tendency here because you have to clear the 9. You got to get by the 9. That shot on the 8 becomes pretty tough. Okay, if he can hold off the rail, everything's pretty easy, but just that extra 4 inches to the rail would have been disturbing. But what a shot. Nice speed control, and that wasn't easy. Now choice here, he can draw 1 rail out for the 9 in the same pocket, or he could follow out 2 rails. Just kind of preference. Most of these guys like the top English and just stick to the natural line of the cue ball.
Easier to control.
Yeah, well, it just really offers a lot of touch, too, as far as when you're talking about the control, the speed control of the cue ball.
3 racks in a row. And with it, a 5-4 advantage. First time he's been in front. And Filler will break in rack number 10. That's a job I applied for, racking the balls. Well, when I knew there was a template.
Yeah, right. So from 4-0,
Yeah,
3-0.
3-0,
Winning 5 out of 6 games.
He's completely flipped the tables on Josh Filler, has Copigny.
And it hasn't taken much to do. I mean, it's a fine effort by Copigny, of course, but he just had a couple little opportunities, made one heck of a cross corner bank on the 2. A couple of nice position shots. Uh-oh, I didn't hear anything down there. There's that 4-railer that we've talked about. When other balls kind of escape the players, it seems like that 4-railer's been the one to maybe the most consistent ball made on the break, really.
In one of the two bottom corners.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it's so important that he saw that one go in because he was on the one. You know, both Filler and Copigny got beat in the early stages of this event before it went to the last 16 in the single knockout format. Copigny lost to Alex Pagulayan 8-6, and I already mentioned Josh Filler lost to Johan Chua.
Got a little elevated here. Just, this isn't a cold-blooded hanger. He's got to pay attention. Wants to stay off the rail with the cue ball. Just so he probably wants to just draw this back 3 or 4 inches and have a natural angle for the 6 in the lower left-hand corner if you're looking at your monitor, and that'll offer sliding behind the 7 for the opposite lower right-hand corner pocket. Really natural, and you can handle a 2-inch angle all the way up to about an 8-inch angle, but you do need the angle on it.
That's what Filler is working out right now.
And he's really pretty handy with getting through the rack on these types of situations. I've seen him play a lot of 8-ball, straight pool. Now he's looking at breaking it out. I don't think that's necessary at all. But if he comes out for that corner pocket and he doesn't get all the way there, well, the one good thing is if he overhits it, he can always break it out. But
I think he's perfect here.
Yeah, but I thought he would just fall right there, shoot that, and then draw over in between the 7-8 without having to move the cue ball much on the 4.
Yeah, he left it a little risky the way that he played it, traveling with the white. But he dropped on the 6 perfectly, and as you can see now, well, he's going to get there in the end in this rack. Really is all about execution, Jeremy. You don't have to follow percentages, not if you've got a certain feeling on any particular way to play a shot. Just execute it, and it's the right way.
It overcomes a lot, and we're here to play devil's advocate a bit, and there's many ways to skin a cat, I guess they say, but what happens is, you know, the game has changed a little bit. It's very, very much about open tables and being very efficient with them. But you can see the knowledge these guys gain and already have at such a young age. And that's the one thing. These guys actually know that a little bit, even though they weren't around playing 25 years ago on the pro scene. But they're all still students of the game so much. They still want to learn every little bit of it. You know, if I'm supposed to break these balls out, how is it supposed to, you know, what's the best way to do it?
Well, and these top players, I think they'll all agree that you never really stop learning, do you? You got to keep an open mind, and that's why you see them every now and then. They're gonna pop in and pay attention to some of the matches that are going on. There's certain players. I mean, when Efren was still playing, there were always players in attendance watching him play because you never knew what you're going to pick up.
Right. Or get to watch. Meaning as far as, you know, a shot of all time.
Yeah,
you know,
a shot you can
that might
talk
go
about.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that there were a few players when Francisco Bustamante was playing here in the Las Vegas Open just prior to the Predator World 10 ball that there were a number of players came around to watch Busty, and you just never know what you're gonna see. There's something to tell the grandkids.
Yeah, big names in the pool world, and 2 Hall of Famers, and, you know, 2 of the greatest that's ever lived. That's what these 2 young men are trying to become as well.
And they're both well on their way.
What is Copigny? Is he 28, 27 years old, I think, maybe? His brother's 23.
His brother's 23.
I believe Copigny's 27 or 28. Just a little intermission here. The players, a little bathroom break, and probably getting a little more of a refreshment of some sort.
Copigny is actually 30, turned 30
Wow,
in May.
30 now. Okay.
Yeah, these players will take a break about they're exactly halfway through the match, so why not take a break? It's a race to 10. And if you're just joining us, it's an alternating break format. We're in the semifinal stages. It's finals day here in Las Vegas. We're coming to you from the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino. And you're lucky enough to be watching the Predator World 10 Ball Championship. Ko Pin-Yi from Chinese Taipei, Josh Filler from Germany. Number 1 and number 3 players in the world, respectively, and also world champions, reigning world champions. Ko Pin-Yi looking to retain the crown that he won last time it was played, the World 10 Ball Championship, and Josh Filler is the reigning World 9 Ball champion. And rack number 11, the superstar from Chinese Taipei, is going to take this rack apart.
Okay, he's made 2, now 3. Just got up underneath the 1. I'm not sure it's playable. It looks a little thin to cut it back. And it is.
11 breaks in the books, Jeremy. We haven't had a dry one yet.
He's looking now if it's cuttable or not. It sure looks awfully thin. And I think it's definitely makeable. Whether you can, it's going to have a lot of speed on the cue ball. Trying to see if he can get the 1 past the 4 and just play percentages on getting the snooker here. Just kind of get the 1 past it a little bit, let it float past it by the rail, and maybe get back to the end rail with the cue ball. Don't really see a whole lot. Yeah, he overhit it a mile, and he's going to be really upset about that. He was trying to just get it just beyond the 4 and just trying to get the simple hook, and it would have been a very effective hook, actually. But now, probably one of many you would call Josh Filler's bread and butter, coming off the end rail. Long shots, having to go forward with the cue ball. Be surprised if he misses this one. Oh, and jinxed him.
Well, he hasn't left anything other than a bank on the 1, and that's assuming it goes past the 6 into the side.
And don't get me wrong, that 1 wasn't easy.
No, he's going to bank it into the corner, so the side bank not available. And he'll bring the cue ball back down behind the 5. He'll look for cover here, kind of a two-way shot.
Yeah. If you're going to do that, if you're going to play back behind the 5, boy, with some real emphasis on the cue ball speed. Because trying to make the bank, you could leave the 1 a hair open. And I think the cue ball speed is all he was really playing. That was very, very necessary. Very, very smart, recognizing, hey, if the 1 goes in, that's just a bonus. He'd like to get at this with some speed. That's why he's trying to go around that 4 and maybe to the back side of the 1. Or even maybe, I don't know if he can get to the back of the 4. He may have to hit above right before the side, just getting across the 10 ball here and just trying to make a good hit.
So the snooker applied by Ko Pin-Yi. Looks like it's going to pay dividends here. He's having a look to see if there was room for that cue ball. Your eyes didn't deceive you, Josh.
Well, some amazing things happen with those round objects. Jim, they just bounce and do some funny things. Okay, it appears he's going to try and go into where he's pointing now inside the 6. In between the 6-9. Should be fine. Maximum left spin here, and that way it just lengthens just enough. Got right by the 10. Nice angle to get up on the 4. And again, Ko Pin-Yi should get that 1-game lead like we just saw a few minutes ago.
He'll try and put the finishing touches to this semifinal, and then he'll sit back and watch his younger brother compete in our second semifinal against Masato Yashioka from Japan.
I know they've drawn each other before in a tournament. Just like good buddies probably that travel, and maybe not quite like that, even a little more different. But I'll tell you, it'd be interesting to see them both in the final. We may see just a flawless match with both guys being so comfortable. And sometimes it works the opposite. Sometimes there's a little bit of that killer missing, maybe. That killer instinct.
When Ko Ping-chung was playing Alex in the quarterfinals last night, Ko Pin-Yi came out and watched. He was standing just in front of our booth. He was paying attention to his younger brother and how he was progressing. It'd be nice. I mean, they don't speak English bad, but I don't know how well they really understand it. And it'd be nice to ask him and try and get some sincerity and say, how do you feel about playing your brother, in a major final? I mean,
well, it's probably kind of a dream come true, really. It's kind of probably something they talked about before, not knowing when it might happen.
Well, he's got his lead back here in 6-5, and he'll break in the next. Or pardon me, Filler will break in the next. Ko Pin-Yi won the lag. The only other siblings I can think of that, might have played in any kind of major finals, the Williams sisters in tennis. And
I thought you were talking about pool, and the first thing that popped into my mind
what
was
siblings?
the Williams sisters. No, we're the Williams sisters. I was thinking of probably a little bit of a smart aleck answer, and I thought you were going to say something about pool, and yeah, the tennis superstars.
I mean, they will have played in major finals, and I can't think of any other sport that. I mean, Patrick McEnroe never ever got to the level his brother did he?
I think he had a few nice doubles finishes. I was a tennis player in high school, so the McEnroes, that was my era. He missed those a little, but really, Josh, the speed he's hitting the break, that little bit of miss hit, like breaking from the left and hitting a little on the right, really hasn't cost him too much. A nice opener here in our 12th game, and trailing 6-5. Trying to put my mind to it as far as the siblings. There's got to be more. I know there were two brothers that were really good tennis players that kind of dominated the double scene for just a little while, probably 4 or 5 years. They were American, actually. I'll try and think of their names.
Yeah, you know what? I remember them.
Yeah.
Were they American, or were they American or Australian? Or
oh, they may have been Australian, but I could have swore they were American.
You could be right, but I remember them.
This wasn't that long ago either, probably within 15 years ago, I believe. 12 years ago, maybe.
Now, any of our viewers at home, if you get a chance, send us a message. Let us know.
Working on our sports trivia. Oh, okay. You saw him kind of hold up and flinch there for a second, and he, in Josh's defense, there wasn't an entire pocket there.
Yeah, that pocket has accepted a few balls. This is, he raises his hands. That ball stopped just in time.
Yeah, but he knew it right when he left the cue ball left his Q-tip that there was a chance of it going over.
Well, just got a quick message. It's the Bryan brothers.
Yeah, and I believe that was right after the millennium. They started to dominate a little bit in the doubles and lasted maybe more than 5 or 6 years, maybe a good 7 or 8.
Thanks for that. That would bug me. Just trying to think of names. I'm terrible that way.
Well, here's one name, Josh Filler, to knot it at 6 apiece. This is our first semifinal. We'll have another here at 3:30. And then our final of the World 10-Ball Championships, the Predator World 10-Ball Championships, will be at 8 p.m. Pacific tonight. Coming to you live from the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino.
Well, this one's heating up. And it certainly has the attention of a lot of fans, not just here in attendance, but all over the world. It's live stream, free, and a quality live stream, I've been told.
Oh, yeah. And, all these players and fans here certainly wanted to see an American this far in the tournament and advance to the final. Maybe, eventually win it is what they really wanted to see. And really appreciate the top form of the pool and the effort these other guys put in, coming from all over the world to try and grab this title and put on one heck of a performance.
So important, that initial lag. And as these guys go hand in hand toward the finish line, how big that lag is going to be.
Okay, I didn't hear one, and the 4-reeler got missed, and wasn't very happy with the way the ball's open. He initially pointed the cue just as soon as the cue ball hit the rack. Don't think he's going offensive here. Try and put the 1 on the back rail and get him behind the 9. Okay. Has he not left a 1-rail kick to the back rail by the 7? That would be the one I would try to get at. Now, if that's not available, man, it looks like there's some kind of play there instead of the 2-railer.
Yeah, 7 could just be poking out enough, though, with that much distance and the amount of side spin he'd have to apply. But he's going to play it that way, Jeremy, and he's called the corner pocket. He's going to be kicking it up that side. He'd really like to stick that cue ball behind the 7, though.
Yeah, and I think this is another one of those angles. If you overhit it, the cue ball is going to leak out a little bit. Yeah, like you had to really kind of creep that one a bit more.
Yeah, that was a lot about the speed that he was going to play the shot to and allow that spin to take.
Right. Yeah, you always want to kick that one to where the object ball gets back down table for kind of a two-way cover on not only the cue ball but also the object ball. But there's been that angle a few times this tournament to where the players got to recognize, hey, I just got to settle with the 1 in the middle of the table if I really want to hold the cue ball. And now Josh Filler eager to grab that lead back and nearing the end of the match, and we'll be breaking off in the next rack. So huge out here.
Tough to tell the sort of thought process that Josh would be going through with each shot as he settles in. I mean, he's so natural and fluent and just gets down and fires. He never really thinks too much.
Well, he got a little thinner here. This ball kept on going on him, and I think he wants the cue ball clean, maybe. That's interesting now. If he chooses to apply some side spin to throw this ball in, position becomes pretty easy, but I think the shot's a hair tougher with the side spin. If he chooses just to flat cut it in, he's got to have good speed on the cue ball because he can't handle going back and forth and falling kind of on the same rail where the 8's at. So decision time here. Oh, he wants the 8 ball cleaned as well? Okay. Haven't seen him ask for the object ball and the cue ball and the object ball clean just yet. But there's got to be something, maybe a little dust, little chalk dust right at the contact point Josh can see. I talked about this shot, Jim. If he hits it with outside English, this position's pretty easy. But if he just chops it and goes back and forth, he's got to have good speed on the cue ball. Okay. Not out of the woods yet.
Again,
Yeah.
the speed is everything on this shot. And it's a thin clip on the 9.
Well, a little drama here in game 13 to get another lead. One he'll shoot down the rail, but you can see definitely not a hanger.
Yeah, he knew he hit it good. The familiar shout from Josh Filler. We heard it yesterday in his match against Niels Fyen as well. And that was a big 10 ball. And I think he knew it. 7-6. The dry break from Ko Pin Yi, affording Filler to get back in front. And that's, I think those are the type of things. He certainly doesn't mean any disrespect by that. It's just that that pent up emotion, I think, and it just comes to a crescendo, doesn't it? Really, with him, Jeremy.
Yeah, and it seems odd or off to some because it's a little foreign in our sport at times. You don't see much emotion until maybe you've won the tournament or a huge match. But I think there's nothing wrong with it myself. He's not going out of his way to be anything out of character. He's just, that's Josh. And sometimes when a big shot or moment comes, he likes to let you hear about it. Okay, the 1 needs to get up, and he's going to get up a little bit, but what's the 7 going to do? I think he's got the 1. Now, almost everything besides the 1 is on the left side of the table, so definitely some congestion here. And if he doesn't have a shot on the 1, that'll offer an easier way to play safe because of that congestion. Oh, he made the 10 on the break. I didn't even notice.
If the 2 doesn't pass, it's a pretty simple 2-4 combination. The 3 up near the side pocket, as you've already noted, Jeremy.
He'd like to just shoot the 2. That would make the rack so much easier, though, because the 3 goes off the 5, and then the 4 is real handy. So if he had shot the 2-4, he'd have to shoot a 3-5 like this later on, not knowing where the 5's going. So with the 4 being hanging, I think he's got to kind of hit this softly, doesn't he? If he hits it hard, he could miss it. Okay, nice shot.
who made the 5 as well. And he's got the angle on the 4 to come up nicely for the 6. So this rack is unfolded very nicely for Josh Filler. Yeah, it looks like he's found that gear again. He's sped up and starting to show signs and that early confidence that got him off to a 3-0 whippet-like start in this match. (8-6). So Copigny is going to survive and get through to the final. He's going to have to win the match 4-1 from this point on. He's got the break in the next.
Well, he's already trailed 3 games, but it was early. So you feel like you can make up 3 games early because you have, a stretched out set, and you have a little time to hopefully capitalize on some openings. But now it's probably now or never as far as getting on the board and at least getting it to 8-7. You can't afford 9-6, I don't think. If it gets 9-7, still very doable. And anything can happen even from 9-6. And if given the opportunity, Co will win from anywhere, no matter what the score is. That's just that type of player. But you got to believe that Josh is going to get an opportunity to win the match if he gets on the hill here. And most likely, like he always does, he'll finish it off.
Pretty important, though, for Copigny. He needs a good break here. Needs to reestablish himself in this match. He's lost the last 3 racks. So a reply needs to come now.
I didn't hear one down. And this is, the 2-ball. No, and this is going to be 2 dry breaks in a row. Could be quite possibly. Josh has got a shot on the 1, and the rack's playable. The 5-8 is playable. 3's open enough. Big shot on the 1 here. He could come back out. He'll probably hold on the side rail. He's shooting it to the other corner. Okay. That's a little surprising to me. Yeah, I like shooting it to the lower right myself. And he did too eventually. But what I was getting at is those 2 last breaks could be his last 2 shots in this match. These 2 last dry breaks for Copigny.
Yeah, this was never going to be easy, playing position from a ball deep in the jaws of a pocket, getting back out to the middle of the table.
And he'll go 3 rails here with inside English. Always a pretty shot to watch. Cue ball moving around the table. Now here's that 5-8 combination. I'm pretty sure. Well, he got past it a little bit. So now decisions. He's not breaking this out, is he? He sure is. I don't blame him. He fell like perfect on it, but now he's with the 10 got in the way. He's going to have to play for a bank, Jim. He's going to have to play for a bank on this 6. I don't think he can get position any type of way for the cut.
Yeah, he's having a little think about this, the path that cue ball is going to take. The 5 cuts into the bottom left corner. But again, that 10 factoring in, taking the bottom right corner away from the 6.
Yeah, he's going to go 3 rails, I think, here for the. He may hit this real soft and light and just try and kill it. Yeah, that's what he's done. I think that's a smart shot. He wants to be offensive, obviously, but keep it simple and get yourself at least to the bank. And he missed a cross side early on a 2-ball.
And when he was 3-0 ahead.
Yeah.
Well, he's won the last 3.
I didn't bank that one short. He hit it perfect, right in the middle.
Coe was hoping that history was going to repeat itself.
Well, now he'll bring the cue ball around, I think, to that left side rail. He doesn't have to. I was just thinking because he's lefty, a lot of them will move it around right here where they reach. Well, he's not going to be able to reach that one. Not from the side row anyways. So. Okay, this is that shot. Instead of the high inside, he'll go back and forth. To the hill, 9-6 and breaking. Pretty ill feeling for Ko Pin-Yi. 2 dry breaks now at 6-6 and 8-6. Can't afford them when it's 0-0, let alone those scores.
No, and at 9-6, the match could well be out of Ko Pin-Yi's control.
And he's just, I think he's inquiring about. No, he's gone to have a restroom break.
Well, 4 racks still to play now. If Ko Pin-Yi can force the issue.
Didn't realize we had so many tennis fans in the pool world.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I had, if I would have had to thank everyone that sent me messages to tell me it was the Bryan brothers, and they're American, by the way, and I would have had to list about a dozen people.
Yeah, those guys were on top for some time. I do remember that. Of course, you don't get to hear about the doubles that much, no matter how much of a tennis fan you are.
No, true enough.
Usually just get to see them on one of the championship Saturdays or Sundays when in between maybe a semifinal in the men's and a final in the women's or something like that. But
hey, Jeremy, I'm just happy that all my friends are watching.
all 12?
All 12 of them.
whole dozen? Okay, the players starting to make their way back in for what is going to be game 16 in our first semifinal. Joshua Filler to break and wants to get it done here and now. And you'll notice Josh doesn't go 100%. It's probably 60 to 70%, somewhere around there. Okay, I didn't hear one either, but there's that 4-railer, and the one's going to be cuttable. Now, what's the 10 going to do? Oh, he's in a nice spot. Nice spot to get to our final. And he's close enough to the 1 that throwing it in and killing the cue ball for the 2 shouldn't be an issue. Just kind of let it float towards the hole. And that really got nice here because he got an angle to get out on the 3.
And 3 will go by the 10.
And the 4 goes by the 5. So he has both pockets available for the 4 ball. Okay, he got way out there, so I think he kind of wanted to probably play the 4 by the 5. But now he has his choice. He can go back and forth, or he can come 1 row over. The good thing about the 4 on the upper left is you just draw right into the 5, into the 7, I think, and hold for the 5 pretty easily. Yeah, I think so anyways. He wants this to bounce. Yeah, he'll just draw. All right, now this is one thing you got to be concerned about where the 7's going. But if he didn't get too thin, he should be able to just draw into the 7 and hold right there for the 5, right? Ooh, forward. Where's the 7 going? If he's going forward. Where's the 7 going? Watch out. See, that's why you don't go forward. You just draw on it, and it's never going to, the 7's going to go past the 5 if you draw into it. And you're never going to have an issue.
Jeremy, I couldn't believe it when I saw him playing topspin.
Yeah, topspin. Well, I mean, it's still unlucky. You got to figure, all right, it's got to cut perfectly, bounce off the rail, get in front of it. But there was a chance of that happening whenever you put top because you're hitting the 7 so thin and you're keeping it in that area.
Just looks so natural, especially for a left-hander, just to draw into the 7.
Yeah. And then you have a nice angle, actually, to shoot the 5, go the rail, and come down for the 6, and the 7 should be out of play. Okay. He's not going to get a roll as far as the snooker now. Is he going to leave him straight or straight and elevated as well? So Ko Ping-yi probably a little shocked to get back to the table. He knows he's left him tough here. Tough to draw it. Pound it from that distance, get it to the rail and to the good side of the 6. He may have to go with some top English here and take a severe cut shot on the 6 from some distance.
Well, if he draws it and can get back on the right-hand side, he does have a 6-10 possibility.
And that's what he's looking at. And the thing about drawing it is you have a chance to get it a real close to the 6. If you follow it, you're just following it out in between the 7-9 for a cut shot on the 6. But the good thing about drawing it is feel a little better probably about the first off making the ball. But if you draw down in here to position that's something that's real ugly that you don't like, you have an opportunity to play safe. Looks like he hit that perfect for the 6-10.
Yeah, couldn't really have hit that ball any better.
No, and when you think about it, at 9-6 as well. No, that's not a win. We'll have to inform the fans that this is 10 last.
They'll figure it out when they see the 10 respotted.
How long has that rule been around, Jim?
Well,
I've never played it once.
I know that the 10 ball that we play up in Toronto, if you make the 10, as long as you call it, as Ko Ping-yi would have there, it's a win.
Well, he's gotten himself a little elevated here. He certainly wanted to just be kind of straight in on this 7. No reason to try and gain an angle. The 9's very simple over the side. Well, he doesn't flinch, though, does he?
No, he's ready to stay and play a little more. We thought we were going to be singing the praises of Josh Filler en route to the final, but he's not there yet. Still 9-7. He's big favorite to get there, but Ko, well, he's got other plans.
And I'm trying to remember all the mistakes. And I kind of feel like maybe Filler's made a few more than Ko Ping-yi on open tables and stuff as far as running out and as far as position play, snookering himself. Can't remember many mistakes besides what do you have, a dry break, 2 dry breaks in a row. He got kissed in on the break the first game.
Very first
double
game.
Kiss on the break the first game, which cost him one. Yeah, so maybe if we had a stat on exactly how the match has been played, you might have Ko Ping-yi, besides some dry breaks, a little bit ahead on the percentages.
Yeah, more unforced errors and certainly errors in judgment. Good break here required, though.
And he's had 2 dry guys in a row. He hit those off now. If he has a dry one on that one, it's a bit his fault. And he's going to give up a shot, I believe. I believe Josh can get at the 1 for the upper right. And he's got to draw it. He's got to draw it up near the 8. Now, he can make it. Now, he could take on a cross-corner bank if he thought he was just a little too thin on this one, but you don't see that very often. They'll still go for the thinner cut than they will usually a bank that's not needed. He's banking it. I could tell the way he was aiming at it that, at least for a moment, he was banking at this one. Now he's gone to cut, and he's much thinner. He's just had to kill the cue ball is all he had to do with a little check. We're not going to open our mouth too soon. we had a rack a second ago that we thought it was curtains, but big shot here on the 2 elevated over the 8. 3's real near. So not much needed as far as position. Ooh, chink in the armor.
Oh, we got a little fortunate with the roll there. Taps the table. Well, that was a bad miss. That finish line is proving a little elusive for Josh Filler.
And Mr. Coe is very happy to get back to the table. I know he's not so happy that maybe Josh didn't get penalized a little bit more, but Coe's going to do what he can to maybe have that penalty come in a game or 2 from now. Really, that's how that works. Now he can kick and come across this one and send the cue ball up. If he draws it, I kind of feel like if he doesn't want to flirt with the scratch, he's sending the 2 1 rail right into the 4 is the feeling I get. So may not get what he wants, but he can't afford to lose the cue ball though. See, that's what it looked like to me. To make sure he wasn't going into the hole with the cue ball and hitting too thin on the backside of the 2. It just always kind of looked like the 2 wasn't going to escape, and a little unlucky it hit so heavy on the 4 and stayed so near the cue ball, but I may have looked at going the back rail and running the cue ball off the 2 a little bit. But up.
Well, that's the second bite of the cherry in this rack. And again, he snookers Coe.
Well, those same cliches apply to everyone, that being the first game and the last. Hardest to always get. Now, he'll kick at this with some speed. If he has to come to this end rail, 9 is a little bit in the way as far as the natural kick. We'll see it here in a second. Not too badly, but you want to cue downward on this. You want to hit this with a center ball. That way it holds its line, and you can just like that. And there we go. Not much of a reward, though, considering he's elevated and can't get position on anything but a 4-10 combo. That's not a winner.
Very awkward cueing. Looking like a safety here. Jeremy, just try and marry that cue ball to the 10.
And he may have to bump the 10 a little bit because he's got to move the 4 over quite a bit. So you can see it's only 2 inches to the 10 ball, so you may have to bump it just a smudge. Yeah, it was just, you always want to make sure you get that 4 to the rail, and Josh is looking at some type of 2 rail escape. I'd call it in the upper left by where the 6 is what I would do. That's where I would call the 4. You got to call it somewhere here. It's important. You know you're trying to kick safe, but no reason not to pick out a pocket. Oh, okay. He's going to give up a shot. Very similar to when the guys are playing safe, but they know they're sending the object ball somewhat in the vicinity of a pocket. They always call it. There's no reason not to. It's kind of the same thing when you're kicking at one.
he'll certainly have a lot to think about if this match even gets to Hill. He's had a couple great opportunities to close it out.
Well, I don't think he's going to get back to the table here, and he's sure hoping there's not a whole lot to think about in the next rack other than what we call a Cosmo, a throw-in sometimes at the right moment. We thought he had that a couple times already after making some good opening shots to get the run started, and just faltered in the middle of the run. But I think after this one's completed, that'll cut us to 9-8. Something tells me Josh Filler better get it done next rack, and most likely he better get it done with a break and run. I just kind of feel like Coe's going to do whatever is needed if he gets a chance at the table.
Yeah, he's got to feel like his opponent is just giving him a chance to open the door a little.
Okay, he's got to float this with a little outside English, so don't let it squirt on you and you hit this thick. Okay, real nice. Made sure of that. Slick felt you can put that right English and kind of swerve into the ball a little thicker than you want. That's not hard to do. Now I wonder if Ko Ping Chung is watching this match here in the stands. I'm sure if he's back in the room resting. But, I mean, it doesn't seem like his heart rate really gets that far up there anyways, but he may not want to get worked up about his brother's match right before he's got to take on our second semifinal. He's the type you want to get checked to see if he has a heart rate, that's for sure.
He's pretty cool out there.
Yeah, cool cucumber.
In the desert heat, this match definitely starting to get a pulse. 9-8. Filler still on the hill. And Ko Ping Yi is tracking him down.
And like most great sports and games involved in the sports, they can be cruel sometimes. But Ko Ping Yi's showing a lot of heart here to fight back to 9-8 after we commented just a game ago that maybe he's played a little cleaner match and still trails 9-8. So that takes some mental latitude, you might say. Even at the highest level, when things aren't going your way and you're playing such a great player, it's easy to lose a little focus. I would never call it giving up, but just you can get the wind knocked out of your sails easily. Okay, here we go. Okay, he's made one down. The one's hanging. What's the 10 going to do? See, funny things happen when you make a few mistakes come down the end. And he looks, gives it a little look to the crowd, but he'll know if he goes on to win this, it wasn't getting snookered at 9-8 that cost him. He's got to go for this kick, I think. You got to go for the devastating one-rail kick to push the one past the 10. I think you do. Don't think you're going to roll out. Offer this kick back to some type of kick shot back to Ko Ping Yi. And this one's not that hard, Jim. Got a lot of room for error on this kick. I hit it a little firmer than I thought, but he hit it great.
Looking to see if he can get through for a full ball contact. He'd love to be able to play this with a little bottom in the cue ball. If he can get that one full, maybe even get it to draw back behind the 10. He needs full contact.
Yeah, I think he's got to come across with the cue ball, meaning try and send the one down and get the cue ball on our left side of the table if you're looking at your monitor. Okay, it's the one behind the 7. Behind the 7. We talked about it 2 games ago when Josh missed. Was it last game? It might have been last game when Josh missed twice and snookered.
He had 2 chances to
Yeah.
win at 9-6, but an old friend of ours, Jeremy, told me decades ago, Steve Davis, the balls remember.
Oh, yeah. He's got just a sliver of it, but there's no future in it. So you'll see a kick shot here, and one he may call cross corner. Oh, great shot. Great shot, young man. Great shot. That was very, very intentional. Looking at the jump. He's got to go 2 rails at it. And the one good thing about 2 rails at it, if he comes across it off that top rail, the cue ball could be getting sent down towards this traffic, which could bode well as far as trying to keep the handcuffs on Josh Filler for this last game. We saw a couple of these early in the tournament that he missed. You don't see this 2 railer. They don't miss it very often, but he was trying to get very accurate with it coming across the top. And I know he realizes these guys kicking the ball so well. You can hit half the ball coming across it, a quarter of the ball coming across it. You got many different thicknesses that you can contact this one and still get some nice results. Okay. Well, that looks a little long on the setup there. With the new felt, he might go by this. That looked long. Yeah, he just barely got it. You could tell he wanted it a much thicker hit on the one. That way it banks across.
Yeah, it also opened the 2 to some degree.
Yeah, and a 2-9 combination that's not very difficult.
Yeah. The 3 in close proximity as well.
He put a lot of speed there, and good thing he's left-handed because he's going to have to play a carom shot now, and he's going to have a nice touch on the 2 to hold it below the 3 for an opening to the lower right corner. So a few little needless errors with the cue ball. Still probably isn't going to cost him.
Actually, in a funny way, it may have worked out better.
Made things a little easier,
Yeah.
right? But I think Josh is going to go ahead and get out here. But and at his age now, he probably won't carry on many of these mistakes at the end into the next match. But it wouldn't be the worst thing to give it a little thought that, hey, let me make sure none of that happens in the final.
I know he's throwing his arms up an awful lot in the late stages of this match.
Well, he should just float this in. He shot this a bunch of times, and I would just float it in with a high ball. You can't get. You're never going past the 7. There's never ever going past the 7 here. Yeah, just a nice little flick here of the 5 down the rail. Yeah, no reason to put bottom English.
It's not coming easy for him, though.
No. Easy enough now, though, Jim. And we're going to have our first finalist here in just a couple strokes away. Not sure what he's upset about. Maybe the nerves are a little high.
Well, the celebration is going to be very short, very shortly, and the 10 down, And our first finalist is confirmed here. Josh Filler will sit back and await the winner of the Koping Cheng and Masato Yashioka. But Filler getting congratulations, a 10-8 win over Ko Pin Yi. Well, Jeremy, there's going to be more pool coming everybody's way. 3:30, our second semifinal. We hope you can join us.